Right now, the crisis in Syria has residents bracing for a possible U.S. strike. While President Obama feels that the U.S. should take military action, he will seek congressional authorization, but that announcement has gotten a front-page headline in Syria. This morning's article labels it the start of the historic American retreat. Big decisions to be made, and this morning we're joined by Congressman Emanuel Cleaver. One Missouri voice will be voting on action against Syria. Thank you for coming in today.
Good to be with you.
This has weighed heavy on legislators across the country, I'm sure. If you had to vote today, what would you vote?
I would vote no. I think that we are a war-worn, war-weary nation. We've already spent $1.5 trillion, $1.5 trillion, and I'm not so sure that it makes sense for us to engage in Syria, primarily because we're ignorant in the Middle East. We make dumb decisions. I mean, we supported the ouster of the president of Egypt, only to see the military ultimately take over. We supported the Shah of Iran. We supported Saddam Hussein. I mean, we have a long list of making ignorant selections on whom we support. So I think we need to let the Syrians, solve this problem. And it's an ethnic issue. Well,
and that's the thing. A lot of people are worried there might not be a good option here, worried about the chemical warfare and answering that. But if you get involved and we lose the president here, what's left to take power? There's not a organized formation to come back. But still, some people saying, how can we not send a message that using chemical warfare will go unanswered?
Well, the other side of that is, how do we send a message around the world? I mean, we've had atrocities in Darfur. I mean, is our anger up only when it's chemicals? What I'm going to do, as I'm trying to make a final decision, is I'm going to hold a couple of town hall meetings to open it up to hear where my constituents are on this issue. Yeah. All the polling seems to suggest that they're not there for any kind of military action, but I'm going to listen to them. I'll have one here in Kansas City, probably one in Independence and one in the eastern part of the district.
Okay, to see how people here feel.
Yes.
I mean, we've been hearing if this had to go to a vote right now, it would not pass from Congress.
It would pass probably in the Senate. I think in the House, when you have a mixture of Tea Party people who would vote against whatever the president recommended, and those Democrats like myself who is invested in the success of the president, but who believes that this is wrong.
And you're not alone.
And I'm not alone. And there's also the libertarians who will say, look, why should we be intervening when our economy is suffering, and we have no business becoming the police of the world.
Are you worried that if it doesn't pass Congress, President Obama will move to do it anyway?
Well, yes, I am worried. The Congress of the United States has only declared war in over 200 years 5 times.
Wow. And
we've sent troops out into other countries 200 times. Presidents want to ignore the War Powers Act of 1973, which was put in place because Johnson, Kennedy, and Nixon had sent troops into Vietnam without any congressional involvement. Yeah. And presidents are inclined to want to ignore Congress. The Constitution clearly gives us the power to declare war.
And you go back next week?
On the 9th. We go back on the 9th. I would expect a vote by the 11th.
This is no doubt, regardless, going to be a chapter of our history.
No question
no
about
what
it.
Happens.
No question about it. And I'll be right there, hopefully representing the majority of the people in this congressional district.
So he's having town hall meetings. You can go out. When are you going to release the dates on those?
We'll do that tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay. All right. Congressman, thank you for being here.
Good to be with you.
And we'll be watching that, of course, as well. Earlier, we spoke with Kansas Representative Kevin Yoder. He couldn't be here this morning, but he did tell us his thoughts about taking action against Syria.
I have many constituents saying that we shouldn't be the policemen of the world, that we ought to be very reluctant to engage in foreign conflicts, that we get dragged into these things and then we end up owning the results. We end up having to put boots on the ground. And I think many Americans want to see our men and women overseas come home. I think either the president should go all the way forward, which I would oppose as well, or do nothing. But just dropping bombs in Syria, which is an area that is already under siege and which has a body count in a staggering amounts, I can't imagine how that will help the situation.
You'll find even more responses from your local leaders on our website, kshb.com. We'll be right back.